What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So as soon as I'm sitting here thinking that my night's over, as far as trying to get any kind of news out or any kind of information or talk about anything, um, I start and I'm like actually like watching a little show on Netflix that I've been watching here lately. Um, if you know it, it's the what is it, Animal Kingdom or whatever. Um, pretty good show. Anyways, I I come across breaking news of Iranian strikes. I mean, Israeli strikes on Iran, and I'm like, oh my goodness, are you shitting me right now? So over the past damn near hour now, I've been scrambling to try to get as much information as I can to try to talk about this. Go ahead and get it out of the way, not waiting until in the morning. Um, so what we had as we, the U.S. has been concerned about something happening, or they have clearly known that something was going to happen. Let's put it that way. We talked about this yesterday, how the U.S. was actively trying to get like non-essential personnel and stuff out of several locations in the Middle East, trying to get them out, fly them out, get them home, out of harm's way, because there was the assumption that something was going to go down soon. Um, you know, we've been having the peace talks, or trying to uh, get an Iranian nuclear deal again, um, for weeks now. We talked about how we had proposed a deal, and then what actually a part of that I didn't actually remember or register was that, um, first what come out was Netanyahu actually coming out saying that he would not allow for, or would not agree to any enrichment period in Iran. To the zero tolerance enrichment. Uh, Even though the deal that we proposed allowed for the 3.75 or whatever percent for civilian enrichment for energy and stuff. And then shortly after that is when Trump came out saying the same rhetoric that, oh, the U.S. is also not going to allow any, you know um, Iran to enrich any uranium, uh, even for civilian use for energy and stuff. So that threw a big wrench in the whole ordeal, even though we gave them a proposal that was allowing for it. Rhetoric from Netanyahu and Trump completely flipped that on its lid. So then you had Iran saying, whoa, 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 wait a minute. What are you talking about? You're giving us a deal that says we can do this, but then you're talking, saying we can't do this. That is a no go. We are not going to be forced into not even being able to. I mean, you've already got all these sanctions on us. Our economy is shit. We, constantly being threatened by Israel and everything else. That's the reason why we are always threatened as well. I mean, out of all of the scenarios that have happened over the past few years since October 7th, we've talked about this several times, how Iran was the one that seemed to always be more mature in the whole situation, and uh, being reasonable about counterattacks and whatnot, even though Israel was just doing these random stuff that seemed to not give any damns about how or what they were hurting or what they were doing or anything else. Israel has been speaking about how they were not going to tolerate any kind of enrichment, and they've made all these claims over and over again, which they always do. Netanyahu always makes claims. He's been making claims for decades now, over and over again, that Iran was this close to getting a nuclear war, this close to getting a nuclear weapon, this close to getting a nuclear weapon. And it's always a couple of months away, or always a year away, or always. And from all U.S. assessments that have been done, even since the ripping up of the first Iranian deal from 2015, even since that rip up, all assessments that have been made by the United States have said and shown that Iran, even at the high uranium, like they were at 62% enrichment, that they were not, there was no evidence that they were trying to build a nuclear weapon. But Netanyahu constantly insists that they are, and that they're planning it, and that they're in the production of doing it. And then, even in his video that he released after the attacks, he stated more about all these plans that they had, and they were going to give them to their proxies, and the proxies. It's like, wait a minute, you just got through talking about how you've destroyed all their proxies, but yet you're fearful that they're going to then turn around and give nuclear weapons to their proxies. Proxies that you say are done. They don't have anything, but yet they're somehow going to get them nuclear weapons. Okay. So, what has happened? We were getting ready to go into further talks on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 15th. And from all reports that it seemed to be coming out, Netanyahu thought that going ahead and making an attack on Iran, that there was a potential that him and Trump had a conversation, and that he influenced Trump to give him the go-ahead on this attack, because he persuaded Trump that it would give the U.S. and Trump some leverage to try to force Iran into taking the agreement. When all indications have previously shown, and Iran has stated over and over again, if an attack was made on Iranian soil, that they would retaliate. And all bets were off. So when we got the reports that we were pulling people, like crazy from the Middle East, it threw up a lot of red flags, and a lot of ears peeked up, and like, wait a minute, eyes were wide open. Something's not right. Well, in the early hours on Friday, I'm assuming somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on their Friday, which is, we are hours ahead or behind. Israel made attacks. It looks like to be up to 6 to 7, roughly around 6 or 7 sites, nuclear sites, and even some military sites, and apparently even maybe 1 or 2 civilian sites were hit, whether purposely or not, I don't know. Or maybe some of the civilian sites were affected by the attacks made on the military or nuclear sites. All reports are showing that there were some top Iranian commanders and stuff from the IRGC, a commander, and then like a chief, like head or whatever were killed, along with quite a few scientists, nuclear scientists, which were targets. Netanyahu stated that. He stated all these targets in his little speech. And the U.S. immediately reported out that we had nothing to do with it. That was by Rubio, stating that we had nothing to do with this, that Israel unilaterally took this on their own, and then urged for Iran, if they made a retaliatory, or to not, they suggested to not make retaliatory strikes on U.S. embassies or bases or soldiers or whatever, that the U.S. had nothing to do with this. This is what Netanyahu has wanted all along, was to create chaos, to pull us into something with Iran, to unstabilize the Middle East as much as I mean, they're quite literally attacking everybody around them except for Egypt. Egypt is the only country surrounding them right now that they have not attacked. They just attacked apparently Jordan last week or the week before that. I don't know to what extent. I somehow missed that report, but I found that in looking up stuff for this. They have attacked every single country surrounding them. Now going after the big daddy Iran. While then immediately afterwards trying to get everybody into shelters, only to then, just about 30 minutes or an hour later, give the all clear and tell everybody that it's okay. You can go about your day or whatever, like around 4 o'clock in the morning. As if Iran would be able to immediately strike back. They've never done that before anyways. There's always been a retaliatory that was thought out methodically, and in and up to this point in cahoots with either us or some type of intelligence, as just sort of this show of something that to show what they could do without actually doing any damage or hurting anybody, just to save face themselves, and so that it wouldn't be something that Israel could have to come back and be like, oh, now we've got to do more. While it did give Israel the ability to make fun of and laugh at, oh, that's all you can do, ha 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 ha. And Iran just like, okay, cool, okay, go ahead, all right. Israel's so out of fucking control, it is ridiculous. They're like the little kid or whatever, even man, that's like literally punching everybody around them in a circle, and then sitting there like complaining or playing the victim, like they're the ones that's gonna, that's in danger. Like punching everybody, giving everybody bloody noses around them. Boom, 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 boom. Got them all down here going, oh my God, why did you do that? Oh my gosh. And then standing up there going, I'm in danger. I'm in danger. They're all going to hurt me. They're all going to hurt me. Please help me. Please help me. They're all going to hurt me. While all the rest of them are on the ground, squirming around, grabbing their noses. That's Israel playing the victim when they are the ones that is causing all the problems and causing all the chaos. They are out of control. They are a state out of fucking control. I have footage here. This is from Al Jazeera. They do a good job. Everything I've seen, they do a pretty good job of talking about situations, giving good footage. So here we are. Kind of have some footage of the explosions or the aftermath of the explosions, more or less. All right.
Well, we are getting breaking news out of Iran at the moment. Explosions have been heard in the capital, Tehran. At least 6 explosions have been heard. There were reports in US media that Israel is preparing to strike Iran. Israel has declared a state of emergency with a ban on gatherings. And we will bring you more information as it becomes available. But just a few more breaking news lines I can bring you. The Israeli Defense Minister has imposed a special state of emergency, as we were hearing there. That is in place immediately. Israeli radio is declaring that a state of emergency has been declared across all of Israel. That will ban gatherings and the suspension of studies at all institutions. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu is currently chairing an extraordinary meeting of the cabinet and the security mini cabinet. And this is in the context of rising tensions over the last few weeks between Iran and Israel. US President Donald Trump's comments recently have added to that sense of conflict as well, saying on Thursday that a strike could very well happen. These are the latest pictures from Tehran you're seeing now of those explosions. And we do have Tawhid Asadi joining us on the phone from Tehran. Tawhid, what more can you tell us about what is going on there in Tehran?
Well, it's about 3:46 local time here in Tehran, and based on what we have so far, sounds of several explosions have been heard across the capital, not necessarily at one particular point, and there are several of them. One of them was heard, and I personally heard that around 5-6 minutes ago. Another one was heard just in the heart of the capital around half an hour ago, and I can say that we've got at least 6-7 minimum explosion sounds reported to be heard in the city, in different parts of the city, western parts, the southern parts of the city. But still, we know that the state TV has confirmed the happening of these explosions. But when it comes to the cause, so far we haven't officially heard anything from Iranian sources.
So that's pretty much so I'm showing some footage, aftermath. You got smoke and everything going on. There were I want to say this one was the one where she goes to speaking about what he was talking about.
We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles.
While a ballistic missile can carry a lot of payload, the 300 or so missiles that they shot last year, like I said, it was purposely orchestrated with knowledge to United States and Israel so that they could prepare for those strikes to take them down. They were shot with minimal payload so that they would not do much damage. So he's rallying up the rhetoric and giving like as if to make it bigger than what it was, because he wants Iran to be thought of as such a threat. He even states there that they were cooking up to have like 10,000 ballistics by the end of next year. And according to Ryan Grimm from Dropsite News, said a minute ago that from his understanding from U.S. intelligence, that Iran was only doing or only building roughly around 50 ballistic missiles, I think a week or maybe a month or something like that. Whichever one it was, it adds up to about 600 in a year. So where in the world he was getting the 10,000, he's saying 10,000 here just is like way, way out of the area of what they even appeared to be building. So the math's not mathing. He's overblowing everything to make them seem bigger than they are.
Within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT within 3 years, not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000s of those ballistic missiles within 3 years.
Well, he says 3 years there, 10,000 in 3 years. Even 600 a year, though, does not equal 10,000. That only equals, 1,800? So, still not even adding up.
Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat.
Imagine a country the size of New Jersey throwing punches at a country the size of half the United fucking States. Or I guess Iran's probably more like the size of Texas, maybe a little bit bigger. So yeah, imagine New Jersey trying to pick a fight with Texas. Texas and probably California put together.
It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel.
No, I think Iran's a little bit bigger than that. Iran is damn near half the size of the United States. At the very least, a quarter to a third of the size of the United States.
The old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th.
That was solely Hamas. Well, not even solely Hamas, but it was planned solely by Hamas. Well, by Hamas, but then other groups within Gaza actually also took advantage of it as well. But he's forgetting to state that, he ignored all the intelligence that was telling him that it was going to happen, or pretended like it wasn't going to happen, and then pulled all the damn, military from the area to assist in, illegal settlements in the West Bank. He forgets to say that, leaving the whole area exposed for something to happen, just coincidentally.
But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back.
After they did attacks first. Again, he's leaving out substance. Iran did not attack Israel out of nowhere. Israel first made attacks on Iran, and then they counterattacked. That's how that worked. And he he acts like Israel just doesn't do anything. Oh, we're just sitting here fumbling our thumbs, and all these people are just coming at us, wanting to kill us, and we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what else to do but to hit them back. Fucking moron or asshole, liar.
Inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have.
And keep in mind, this motherfucker is a U.S. He was born in the U.S. He graduated from like a college in Pennsylvania.
Suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years.
He always says this. He always acts like that they don't have a problem with the people of the area. He said this when it comes to Gaza, but yet they have blown Gaza to hell and back, and they've killed innocent people more than they have soldiers or, Hamas. He's full of shit. He doesn't care. He does not care. Also, one key other issue with this whole thing is why has there been a dictatorship in Iran for 40-something years? Who is to blame for that? Let me think. Oh, yeah. The United States. The UK and the United States facilitated together to overthrow the previous democratic government that was in Iran. Iran was a flourishing country with freedoms just like the United States. I've seen pictures and stuff of Iran before we overthrew their government. It was a beautiful area. Men and women, people out dressed like, normal people. They overthrew the government to try to input their own input, helped it get the what has become a theocratic government in place of it, trying to steal the resources, trying to steal oil, trying to get oil out of them, which they did for a while. That's the reason why Iran is the way it is. We are to blame for that. Which then turned around after that, the theocratic, regime governments that have been in place since then has caused and gave reason for Israel to constantly blame them or call them a threat to Israel. And it has caused all this to the detriment of the country. Sanctions after sanctions and wars, threats of threats, and has caused Iran to, to have to feel like they needed to have these proxies, connections with other groups to kind of give this wall of protection for them from Israel and from the United States as well because of Israel. because Israel's really just a proxy of us. This is just a game of chess, and everybody's trying to figure out the moves, trying to keep everybody in check.
I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
And maybe we shouldn't let Israel have dangerous weapons. What you think?
And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism
that's what I was
all
talking
too
about.
real. The increasing
There's no way in hell that would happen. There was absolutely no evidence of that happening.
range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America.
And for him to make the claim that this was going to threaten Europe and America is just completely ludicrous. There's no way in hell that any ballistic missile from Iran would affect cities in Europe or the United States. The only threat that they really held was to Israel.
Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan.
And why is that? Quite frankly, I would almost be inclined to say they have a point. Especially now. After what between Israel and the United States has done to Iran as a country. What do you think? What if you lived there and you had been pushed down, held down, suppressed, oppressed from, society, like normal, international, like sanctity, or, the ability to freely, prosper, grow your economy, your GDP, have regular flowing trade with everybody. All that was cut off. And you were called the most evil country in the world. What do you think you would be acting like? What do you think you would be saying? What do you think you would be trying to develop? And that's the problem here. Instead of Israel and even the United States by connection allowing this, a country to, which was what we were trying to do with the original nuclear agreement, allowing them to, get back on track on the international stage, have the, trade abilities, grow their GDP, which it was happening, grow their economy, get back on track, and at the same time controlling their nuclear, activity, not enriching for weaponry, and they were staying within the agreement by every metric, every data point and audit that was being done. They were adhering to the agreement. And then Trump turned around and fucking ripped it up and got out of it. Put sanctions back on the country. Drove their economy back down into the dirt. Ruining trade, ruining their GDP, ruining, what the fuck you think? What do you think is going to happen if you, with a country that becomes so desperate, they have the ability, they have the intelligence, they have the means to enrich and become a nuclear problem. And you would rather risk them becoming that nuclear problem under the guise of being held down, desperate, struggling. We all know that people become the most dangerous and threatening parts of themselves when they are at their lowest. So it sounds like to me, this is all intended. This is the intent, to hold them down, push them down to the point that they are so desperate and so threatened that they feel they have no choice but to go to the farthest extremes that they could possibly go in order to survive. And that's where Iran's sitting right now. But even then, still, all recent assessments from the United States has shown that they are not building nuclear weapons. They could, but they're not. And yet, this genocidal, racist, Zionist piece of shit decides that he's going to drop bombs on them anyways.
And this is why for decades, it's led millions in the chants of death to Israel and death to America. Today, Israel is responding to those genocidal calls with action and with a call of our own. Long live Israel and long live America. Our action will help make the world a much safer place. I want to thank President Trump.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this action certainly makes me feel safer. Yeah, I'm sure it makes all the people over there feel safer too. That's the reason why we're trying to get everybody the hell out of Dodge. Oh, the safety and all that. The safety, they feel so safe. They're running away, jumping on planes, trying to get here. So safe. So much safety. It's so much safety, it hurts.
For his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time. It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of
the projection that this motherfucker, along with projection of a lot of our own politicians, is just, oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous.
Peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now. The hardest decision any leader has to make is to thwart a danger before it is fully. The hardest decision any leader has but to act, and act now, of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now, of peaceful nations. For time, it refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have
the peaceful requirement of peaceful nations to not enrich or not make nuclear weapons. Is that the reason why Israel has nuclear weapons that they claim they don't have and pretend that they don't have? And also, they're not a part of the nuclear, agreement thing with the UN or whatever it's called. They're not a part of it. So I guess that makes them a not peaceful nation. Interesting. Interesting claim there.
Have no choice but to act, and act now. The hardest decision any leader has to make is to thwart a danger before it is fully materialized. Nearly a century ago, facing the Nazis, a generation of leaders failed to act in time. They were paralyzed by the horrors of World War I. They were determined to avoid war at all costs, and they got the worst war ever. They adopted a policy of appeasement. They closed their eyes and ears to all the warning signs. That failure to act resulted in World War II, the deadliest war in history.
Sounds like to me the same shit that's going on right now. Failing to meet the moment, to stop someone in their tracks, closing their eyes and ears, and doing appeasement. I wonder who that is right now. Sounds like us with Israel. That's awful funny.
It claimed the lives of 60 million.
And where are we standing now? On the edge of another war.
Including 6 million Jews, a third of my people. After that war, the Jewish people and the Jewish state vowed never again. Well, never again is now. Today, Israel has shown that we have learned the lessons
and stop trying to start shit
of history. When enemies vow to destroy you, believe them. When enemies build weapons of mass death, stop them. As the Bible teaches us, when someone comes to kill you, rise and act first.
Is that what the Bible says? If someone rises to kill you, act first. Well, I'll be damned. I guess that's what his Bible says.
This is exactly what Israel has done today. We have risen like lions to defend ourselves. Over 3,000 years ago, Moses gave the people of Israel a message that has steeled their resolve ever since. Be strong and courageous, he said. Today, our strong and courageous soldiers and people stand together to defend ourselves against those who seek our destruction. And by defending ourselves, we defend many others, and we roll back a murderous tyranny. Generations from now, history will record that our generation stood its ground, acted in time, and secured our common future. May God bless Israel.
The only damn threat, the only damn destruction that anybody wants on Israel is the destruction of their fucking government. Not the country as a whole, not its people, but their fucking government. Because their government is a theocratic, Zionist, genocidal, far-right, authoritarian regime. They are. Really, they're not a whole lot different from what they claim Iran is. This is the end of it. I want to see real quick what they have to say about it.
May God bless the forces of civilization everywhere. Thank you.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking there at a press conference directly to camera, saying that, making it very clear that he says Israel had no choice. In his words, he says, we have risen like lions to defend ourselves. Well, Noor O'Day joins us from Amman. Noor, The Israeli Prime Minister there making it clear that this, in his words, is a defensive action.
Yes, well, this is how it would be framed no matter what the context, Sarah. Recall that the attacking Iran is a point of consensus in Israeli politics. All Israeli politicians from across the political spectrum view Iran as an existential threat. And in the past 20 months or so, we've seen Israel and Iran exchange strikes due to the escalating violence initiated all the time by Israel in strikes against Iran. This is different, though. This is a strike that, according to Israeli reports, targets the assassination of key figures in the Israeli revolution, in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, as well as key and strategic positions and military assets in Iran. We've been hearing all sorts of rumors and leaks in the media in the past 24 hours. And as we've been hearing from Alan over in Washington, D.C., the Trump administration even took steps. And the Israeli public has been wondering whether this is just added pressure on Iran and the Trump administration, or whether they should really be getting ready for war. And at the moment, they know they are in a state of emergency. The airspace of Israel has been closed down. Schools, businesses, all shut down. The public instructed to only leave their homes in extreme cases and in cases of emergency and extreme need. Thousands of reservists have been called up for duty, and right now the situation in Israel is on heightened alert because they do expect Iranian retaliation, although no news of that has come about yet. But we are hearing more and more from the Israeli side about measures taken, about the fact that this strike was sanctioned by the Israeli cabinet at night. And right now, senior Israeli leaders have been taken to safe locations, according to the Israeli military radio.
Noor, let's bring in Alan Fisher then in Washington, D.C. Alan, Benjamin Netanyahu there thanking the US president. What are your thoughts there?
Well, clearly Benjamin Netanyahu knows how to play Donald Trump, a man who, of course, has portrayed himself as the most pro-Israeli president that the United States has ever seen. Truman could perhaps argue against that. What we heard from Benjamin Netanyahu was addressing this effectively as also a threat to the United States, saying that there could well be attacks in the US at some point down the line. We know that the United States were aware that there was the likelihood of these attacks. That's why they took the action that they did over the last 24 hours at their embassies across the Middle East. But I was speaking to one analyst by text just in the last 20 minutes or so, and he said this is a preemptive strike by the Israelis. It's Benjamin Netanyahu preemptively killing the chances of Donald Trump reaching a deal with Iran on its nuclear program. And now it's up to the US to decide how it will respond if Iran takes action against Israel. And certainly looking at social media, there are a lot of people who would be natural supporters of Donald Trump who say that this is Israel's war and that the United States cannot get involved in this. Certainly we know from statements from members of the government just in the last hour or so that the US was not involved and did not assist. But Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has in the last hour put out a statement warning Iran it should not target US interests or personnel in the coming days. Benjamin Netanyahu has said that this operation may go on for several days. Donald Trump, who this evening was at a picnic on the grounds of the White House, the congressional picnic, is an annual event. He made some brief remarks, did not mention what had happened in Israel, and then went back into the White House. We are told that he is there with his national security team, and it's his intention to hold a cabinet meeting with many of those national security figures first thing on Friday morning to discuss what the US should do in the coming hours.
Alan Fisher in Washington, D.C.
You mean Trump is actually going to do a intelligence briefing? Ooh, that's wild. He hasn't been doing those lately at all.
Thank you. Let's bring in Al Jazeera's correspondent Ali Hashem, who joins us live here in the studio. We just heard from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Interestingly, he also said, "We will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons." So this is about those nuclear weapons and the danger there, isn't it?
Well, since the beginning, I mean, Netanyahu has been obsessed with Iran and mainly with Iran's nuclear program. And he's always been warning that the Iranians are after a bomb. The Iranians, on several occasions, insisted that a bomb is not in their agenda, is not on their priorities, and that they see making nuclear bombs as against their own ethics. So, I mean, this is today the moment where everyone, it's a moment of truth, where everyone is in front of the new situation, of the new status quo. He said that they assassinated or they targeted nuclear scientists and also people or facilities related or have a connection to Iran's missile program. What I know right now is that there is a meeting in Tehran. The leadership is meeting to take a decision on how to retaliate. So, and this is something that's automatic. Whenever there are big events just like this is an aggression on a country, they are taking such measures. Now, what was hit in the past hour or couple of hours, what we're hearing now is that the Natanz facility was hit, or close to Natanz facility. We don't know precisely. Kermanshah, which is also a district, a province to the northwest of Iran on the borders with Iraq, was also hit. Loristan was hit. Tehran was hit. Several areas, as we've been seeing, and as we are seeing, residential areas in the capital were hit. Now, there is a kind of a tactic the Israelis are adopting from the bigger picture in the region, where they started with hitting what they call the arms of the octopus, and then they went to the head of the octopus. It seems that inside Iran, they're also going ahead in the same tactic, whereas they're hitting the arms of the system, the main commanders, the main scientists, and who knows what's going to be next. Because what we heard from Netanyahu isn't really just an attack on Iran's nuclear facilities.
Some residential
it's an attempt to dismantle the whole system.
Places were damaged, and
if this is going to continue this way, then
citizens
the
harmed,
threat is going to be very big, and the threat of a wider escalation is going to be stressed more and more. We have to wait to see how the Iranians are going to retaliate first.
Absolutely, Ali. We're just seeing latest pictures there, a huge explosion there. That seems to be, those are the latest pictures, so that could well be yet another explosion.
Well, of course, there have been a couple of waves. The first wave that we started the coverage with, and then there was a second wave. And in parallel, there were attacks on, as I've been saying, different provinces around Iran where some vital facilities are, whether military facilities or nuclear facilities. In Kermanshah, there is some ballistic missiles.
Okay, so there's already been a second wave as well.
Launches there.
At this point.
And during the attack on Israel, we've seen the Iranians launching their missiles, part of their missiles, from several areas, including Kermanshah. Now, in Natanz, just in case this is going to be confirmed or not from the Iranians, and whether we are going to see pictures, this is also something else. But there's a carnage in Tehran, as we can see. It's a very big attack. And the Israelis are saying it's going to continue and it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
The main issue right now is the whole nuclear path, the nuclear negotiations path, has it evaporated completely, or there is still a chance where President Trump can jump in and try save the whole scene.
And that's the concern, is that's what Netanyahu said, that this was going to continue until they felt that they had done what they needed to do to get Iran where they wanted them to be, kind of an idea. Like, as far as maybe, forcing them into a deal or something like that, that they were just going to continue to do it. That's a big problem.
Ali, thank you for that. I want to just bring in Trita Parsi, the Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, joining us from Reston, Virginia. And just speaking there with our correspondent, Ali Hashem, there, in terms of the nuclear issue, I mean, we're seeing the latest pictures here, Trita, of those explosions. I mean, presumably there could be concern within Iran and the rest of the world about whether those nuclear facilities are hit. I mean, what happens then?
Of course. Well, we've seen this extensively whenever there's been any attack by the Russians on Ukrainian nuclear facilities. There's been a major international uproar. Remains to be seen whether that will happen now, since Israel tends to get special treatment and a pass on many of these different things. But there is obviously a significant risk that if they do hit nuclear facilities, that will create not only a massive humanitarian crisis, but also an environmental crisis.
Okay. So that's the latest that I have or know at the moment. Now we're left waiting to see how many more waves that they actually continue doing. If there's a retaliation from Iran, and at what point and to what extent that it will be, whether it will include anything that could be connected to the U.S., since we have stated for them to not strike any of our interests or locations. It's ridiculous at this point. Israel, like I said, has lost their minds. They are rogue, out of control, and unfortunately, the only fucking person that can get them under control or pull them back is our fucking president. And I'm not so sure that he cares enough. Or that what he does care enough about would tie to reining them in or stopping them or giving them an alternate course or whatever. You got hell breaking out here in the United States. You got hell breaking out in the Middle East. Well, continuing to break out. Hell going over in Eastern Europe. And it's all because of far-right, authoritarian, power-hungry, ideologues like Trump, like Netanyahu, like Putin. Do you not see the danger in these type of people being in control of great power and means to use that great power how they want? And crazy enough that in some form or fashion they all to some degree get along. At least enough to not stop each other. We're going to keep an eye on this. See how things progress throughout the rest of this day, and into the weekend or whatever. Heading into Sunday, where we're supposed to be continuing talks. Not sure if that's ruined now, but thank you for joining me, and I will try my best to keep you updated. Let me know in the comments or whatever what you think. And until next time, peace. ClearTalk, I'm out. And good night.